Hello, my beautiful star seeds. Thank you so much for tuning in today's video. If you guys are returning subscribers, welcome back. To my channel. I can't even talk because of how excited I am. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome in to Blooming Woman. And so today's video is a video that I know you guys have been patiently waiting for, and it's finally here. And that is the secret to the crow's call. So we're going to get deep inside of what it means to see a crow briefly. And then we're going to talk about all the different things that the crow actually signifies. So the different things that the crow signifies when it comes to their actual call and how they make noise. But then we're also going to talk about things that they actually do and what it means when you see a crow doing something, like when you see a crow flying with food in its mouth, or when you see a crow flying in an opposite direction from where you came from. Yeah. And this is all based off of experience over a course of time, multiple experiences, and some of the crow calls secrets that I've learned have also been based off of things that I've experienced for myself, as well as things that have been passed down from ancient times and from natives as well. So without further ado, let's get inside learning all about the secret to the crow's call. Now, I do want to remind you guys that the sun is setting right now, so the lighting may go down a little bit, but I think the camera will still be able to pick up. So without further ado, we are finally doing it. Let's see, I have my notes here. And go ahead and hit the like button if you guys are excited for this video. Just as excited as I am. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more of my videos. So when we talk about the crows, crow is something that signifies protector. The reason why crow signifies protector, which I have made a video about that, and I will link inside of the description box below. So if you want to know more about what the crow actually signifies in more depth, you can view it there. But it basically signifies a protector. And what it does is it warns you, as you can hear. It warns you. It sounds like an alarm, which most birds do sound like an alarm, but the crow really sounds like a warning. And the reason why is because it's cautioning to you what it is that you need to protect. Whether you need to protect your own soul from your own mind and your negative thoughts and shadows, or whether you need to protect yourself from an outside interference. So regardless of that, the crow just means overall protection. The crow also signifies wisdom because of its ability to go beneath the veil and dive into the underworld. The crow has this significant connection with the underworld, as in people who are dead, but not necessarily in the angelic realm or higher frequency realms, but people who are actually just in that kind of limbo stage in the underworld where they're still transitioning, or where they are just about to pass away, or they're stuck inside of that realm before they act the realm right after they pass away, before they find the light. Like, the crows are very, very much in tune with that realm, and they're in tune with the dead, and they're in tune with souls that have passed on. So because of that, they have wisdom, because they have wisdom of the shadows. They have wisdom of the darkness, things that are hidden. And they're all completely black, because black is something that signifies hidden knowledge. It signifies an absorption of everything. Black is a color of all colors in one. So that means it has all of the wisdom, all of the knowledge, all of the melanin. It has the ability to really be versatile, and it has the ability to really be source, connected to source. And it has the ability to protect through having all of that wisdom. So that is what the crow absolutely signifies: a warning and an intelligent person, and an intelligent animal, and a warning for when you are about to experience danger, fall into danger, or you're providing danger for yourself. And with all that being said, the crow, just like the black cat, which also signifies protection, can be something that is feared upon. because of how daunting it sounds, and because it has to deal with death, and because it has the ability to go into the darkness, what ends up happening is we sometimes fear seeing these types of creatures in nature that have this ability to see beneath the veil and see into darkness. But the moment we diminish our fear, and the moment we face our own shadows, or actually see what it is that the crow is pointing towards for us in our life, that's the moment when we diminish fear and we become a clearer channel for wisdom and become a clearer channel to see into the light. Because once we put light onto the darkness, we're able to evolve past our boundaries, which is another thing that crow signifies. Boundaries. It is your firewall, it is your boundaries. It lets you know when you're about to cross a boundary into unknown territories that may be dangerous, or it may also be letting you know when you need to strengthen your own boundary. Okay, so because there's so much fear surrounding crows, I'm going to start off with telling you guys 2 things that crows can signify that might not really mean much. And the reason why is because it happens quite often. Crows are one of those animals where you may not notice, but there's sometimes a whole flock of them, and those are family members. Those are children that have grown up. Those are mates. They're all flying together. And some of them are buddies. Not all of them are like, it's not an individual thing. A whole entire flock of crow is actually called a murder, if I'm not mistaken. Just like a crow, an entire group of fish are called a school. An entire group of lions walking around are called a pride, your pride. Well, the group of crows are actually called a murder. But there's nothing to fear here, because sometimes you hear the crows, and I'll say a lot of time you hear a crow. It's probably just warning other crows and its other buddies that there's food around. It's probably just warning other crows that there's food around. So really pay close attention. And if you see the crow crowing and it sounds frightful and you feel like what the heck is going on, where are all these crows coming from, but then you see them feeding on something, that's really all it is. I mean, everything has a significance, and everything, there's no, coincidence to anything really when it comes to signs in life. But that's not something to really take too much caution about, right? You can still stay grounded and just still keep moving on with your life. Another thing that the crow could be also around for is for somebody else. So it could be cawing or crowing because somebody else is trying to warn somebody else, or somebody else's energy needs to be protected. And so it's crowing, but it's crowing in somebody else. And you may hear the crow at your neighbor's house. Doesn't mean it's got anything to do with you. It's got everything to do with them. It's a call, it's a sign for them. I hear a crow right now, but I know it's got nothing to do with me. And it's got everything to do with something outside of me. Something around me or in my environment, because we're in a shared environment. So not every time do you hear the crow is it going to directly always mean that, something bad is going to happen, or that you have to stop everything you're doing and you have to really try to decipher, there's danger around you. That's not always going to be the case. Now, getting to when that is the case. So I want to start off with something very interesting, which is also something that's passed down from natives and passed down from people, before us in this generation. If you listen to this crow right now, you can hear the number of times the crow calls. So each time it's crowed twice. So that represents a level of stability. And then it just crowed once. So that means that the level of danger has actually decreased. And so let's say you're out and about and you hear a crow and you think it's talking about you, or you just happen to listen and you want to decipher. If you hear a crow, start off, and you have to sometimes listen for a while, because you don't know when you started to hear it, if it's in the middle of its stuff or in the beginning. If the crow crows multiple times, and then the number of its crows start to lower itself, then that means the significance of the danger is also lowering. So if you hear a crow go, crow, 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 it does it in segments for that very purpose. So we all have ways of communicating. Crows do it in segments for that very purpose. But then after that, you hear it go, crow, crow. Okay, it went down a notch. That means it went from crowing 3 times to twice. And that can be any number. But if you see it going down, that means that the significance of danger, or whatever it's perceiving as a threat or danger inside of the environment, is going down. Same thing goes for the food. The food is going, like, it's gone, guys. There's no more food around. Just one, you know? If it's stabilized and it's the same thing, then that's a stabilized thing, right? Now, if you see the number of the crow's call go from a lower number to a higher number. I don't care if it starts off at 6 crows. I mean 6 caws. If it goes that's already a lot, right? But if it goes from, that's just still the starting point. And if it goes from that and then it goes to 10, the amount of danger or perceived threat or perceived darkness, not just danger, but perceived heavy energy or dark energy, sometimes grieving energy as well. Like maybe an animal just passed, or maybe another crow has fallen and passed away. Maybe it found another dead crow. Maybe it sees a dark entity that we cannot see. Some of us can see, but that we cannot see. And it sees a dark entity that maybe is like a really bad dark entity, like maybe a skinwalker, or maybe, you know, a soul snatcher type of energy, like real dark energy, like like those entities, that regular lost entities that are haunting your house because you have the ankh in your house and you have the arrows and you have crystals. They coming in your house, you think they haunting you, but really they're running away from the real big demons, the real big demons. So a crow can be cawing at a lower number of calls and go up a number of calls because of any type of perceived threat or perceived lower vibrational energy or perceived dark entity or perceived grieving energy that may be around. Or maybe even just a not necessarily perceived, but maybe just something is no longer available. So now it's going down. Something no longer exists, or it's not a threat. So now it's not calling. There's nothing to communicate. So that is something that is definitely not widely talked about. Another thing to understand with the crow as well, and this is something I've learned myself. And before I say this, I want to also say that make sure to have time with yourself. Make sure to be patient with yourself. Be patient with the knowledge and the wisdom that you have that is coming in for you, because these are not things that are going to be learned overnight. They can be, but that's very rare. There's still room to grow, and it's so versatile, and it takes so much knowledge, wisdom, and patience and experience to get to the point where you're able to decipher this information. So something that I've learned as well is using numerology. Numerology and colors as well is somewhat in the same category, but using numerology, these are one of the occult sciences that can be applied to multiple different facets of life. So if you're looking at a tree as a symbolism, or let's say you're looking at a flower sprouting out as a symbolism, and there's one flower that sprouts out and you walk by that flower. But then the next time you walk by it, maybe 5 minutes later, another flower pops out. It was a bud and you didn't notice and it popped out. Now there's 2 flowers. Numerology is a code there to say that there is a partnership, or there is 2 things now that are blossoming inside of your life. That's just an example, right? But with the crow's call, you can also use numerology. So if the crow is calling twice and it just keeps calling 2 times, then it is talking about partnership. It could be telling you to trust. It could be telling you to be patient in order to stay away from danger or perceived threat. It could be also telling you to look towards your partner, look towards your friend. If it's you and another person, 2 people around. It could crow twice and then you see a couple go by. And this is all things that could really make you kind of get inside of your head. And that's not what we want to do. So this is why I say you really want to make sure that you're patient with yourself and that you have strengthened your ability to be more psychically and intuitively aware of yourself by meditating. And then also learn numerology. From 1 to 9 is all you need to know. I've made videos about numbers 1 through 9, which is available in numerological order on my YouTube channel. Or you could buy a numerology book. I would be careful going online because there are a lot of like misinterpretations of numbers online, unfortunately. There are some trusted people and some people that have good guidance there, but if you see that the numbers and meanings are always changing and it's never the same meanings for each number, then they're just basically blowing steam out their mouth. But yeah, if you hear it crow 3 times, then you look at the significance of the number 3. That is also going to help for you to interpret what it is that the crow is kind of pointing towards. Even with the threat level going up or down. So if the crow crows 4 times and then it goes up to 7, then you can still look at the significance of the number 4 and the number 7 to get more clues and more details of the picture that is being painted and to understand the language of the crow. Okay, so let's see what else we have. So those are really going to be the key factors to understanding the crow's actual call. Now I have some other things that I have listed here just as an added bonus. That's not necessarily just the crow's call, but the crow's actual actions. And the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is going to be the crow on top of somebody's roof. Now I've seen this as a dual meaning. So I've seen the crow on top of somebody's roof as a meaning of, hey, celebration because something is dead. It's coming to an end. For example, I was going through a time kind of recently where I found a really good job and it's paying a decent amount and I'm really proud of myself, and it was a while where I was struggling, but either way I'm so grateful. And you know, all this stuff going on in America with President Trump, blah blah blah, firing government officials and stuff, my paperwork got messed up and there's nobody in office. So there was almost a mass like pull of people off of the job because their paperworks weren't getting processed, because nobody was there to process these paperworks, including mine. And it was a scary time because things are kind of, you know, really expensive right now, and it's hard to live right now, to survive right now, right? But what ended up happening is it was a long, patient, forbearing experience that I had to go through. And literally right when I got a message, right when I checked my the government site to see where my progress bar was for my application to be complete, I finally for the first time see it reach 100 and see it say everything was complete. And immediately a bunch of crows started crawling and they started actually running across the roof. And I was like, holy crap. But I waited weeks and nothing happened. Nobody died. Nothing like that happened. And things only went up from there with that particular situation. So if you hear crows on your roof and they're crowing and they're stomping and it sounds like they're running around, believe it or not, it actually is a celebration that a hard time is coming to an end, that something very dark is actually ending. Now, there's also a time when crows are just comfortably sitting on your roof, not making any noise, not doing anything, and they sit as if they're grieving, as if they're at peace, as if they're just observing and watching and just waiting for something to happen, but nobody knows what. That is a time when someone may be passing away, unfortunately. And always use your own intuition. Don't jump to conclusions or, make an assumption before you actually find out that something is actually going on. But I'll give you an example. There was a dog that, it's a pretty tough story, but this dog was with an abusive lady that at one point I was transitioning in my home life and didn't have a place to live. Things have been really tough for me for the past 5 years, but definitely for the past 2 years. And I had to live with a family member, which was also a narcissist. But anyway, she had a dog, and I could see that the dog was pregnant, and she was in denial about it. But one day, months later, the dog actually was in labor. And so I was trying to help the dog, comfort the dog and give her space and also help her in labor. And this lady didn't make it easy, and the lady was really bad. To make a long story short, unfortunately, the lady didn't give the dog the space or the time to go through labor. And when the lady finally left the house and I could finally go and assist the dog, it was a stillborn. And I could feel there was another one. And I could sense that there were two in there. And while the other one was waiting to come, instead of this narc going and taking her to the vet, she held on to the dog. Now, I couldn't even sleep there that night, so I went and I slept in the car. Morning time, I come and I park right in front of the house. And the garage opens up, and it's her holding the dog. And I swear, a crow landed on top of my car, and I already knew. By the time afternoon came, she came back and said that she put the dog down. Now, that was a very sad, morbid story. I'm so sorry, you guys. And I'm laughing to kind of balance things out here. But yeah, that's just an example of it absolutely can mean that. But the difference is when the crow comes and it's not even making noise. It's just silently, peacefully just on top of a roof. That means that you're going to mourn something soon. It doesn't mean that you're going to die, right? It could, but it does mean that somebody underneath that roof is going to be grieving a very hard loss. All right. Another thing is when a crow is flying in the opposite direction from where you're coming from. And I have examples because this is something I've experienced for like the past 6 years. It happens quite often. And if you pay attention, you'll probably see that it happens quite often with you as well. First example is one time recently, actually, I went to Michael's to get some t-shirts, 2 t-shirts, and I got a size small. And I was coming out of Michael's and I was going down the road, and literally as soon as I came out, like maybe a 2-minute, 3-minute drive out, the crow just came and flew back in the direction of where I came from Michael's. And I was like, not this time, crow. I didn't forget anything. I know I didn't. I have everything. Okay, I'm not freaking out about this. Everything's cool. 2 days later, I tried the shirt on and it's too small. So when you see a crow, and with many birds, when you see them flying the opposite direction, but specifically when you see the crow flying in an opposite direction, especially back from where you came from, it's telling you that you either forgot something that's going to cause you a little bit of stress or a little bit of grief or a little bit of inconvenience if you don't go back and get it now. There's that. There's another story where I was driving to work where this was like 6 years ago. I was driving to work and it happened twice. Same thing, different times. Where I was driving to work, I worked at the airport at that time as airport security, and you need a badge to get inside of certain, access points. And I'm all the way down the freaking highway. I mean, it's a 30-minute drive. I'm all the way down the highway. And the next thing you know, I just see a crow just fly straight across. Pew, pew. And the way it flies, it like flies along with my car, and then it flies, and then it goes back. And I was like, okay. And you know when it's talking to you because it seems like it's just you and that animal having that experience. Okay, it seems very focused. And so what ended up happening is the badge that actually gets me to even get inside, to even clock in to work, I had left at home. And that happened twice. And I had the same experience with the crow twice, where it warned me that. So if you see a crow flying in the opposite direction from where you came from, it means that you forgot something. It may not be identical to the story that I have or my experiences, but it does signify forgetting something that could cause you inconvenience or cause you grief, or possibly just cause you stress if you don't go back and get it. All right. And then lastly is understanding that crows really can tell you when you yourself, your own shadows, your own self is being negative, right? So if you hear a crow or you see a crow every time somebody else texts you, that means that person may have bad business, they may be grieving, or they may just be having a lot of shadows. They may be in their shadow or in their shadow elements or dealing with tough shadow work energy to the point where you might actually want to create a boundary or create some space because they're crossing your boundaries and they may be unloading their anxiety on you. Seriously. But sometimes the crow can come in to tell you that you yourself are thinking negatively and you yourself are not treating yourself good, and you're actually feeding your own insecurities or feeding your shadows in not a good way. So if you see a crow flying with food in its mouth, you could notice that you may be doing something, eating something, thinking something, participating in something that may not be conducive to your well-being, something you may need to protect yourself from, negative thought patterns, eating bad foods, and all those things. Now, this is also something that is dual in a way. So if you see ego catch prey, that's a good sign. If you see a pelican dive into the water and catch multiple fish, amazing sign. You see a crow catching food, it's telling you that you may be feeding your own demons. Okay. Now, this is also dual. So sometimes when you see a crow flying with food, it could also just be telling you that you've caught something. Not like you caught something, but you've actually caught something. You spotted something. Like you found what it is that's feeding your demons, and so that's actually a good thing. Like you've had a realization that I shouldn't be eating this. Sometimes you can realize it before you see you already know this. You're aware to it, and so the crow found something and is eating on it. You know. So you've also been enlightened, and you just found out that that is feeding your shadows. Or you just found out that I'm feeding my darkness, or I'm feeding my insecurities right now. And you're like, damn, that was feeding my insecurities. And then you just go ahead and see a crow flying with food in its mouth. That's a good thing because you are aware, you have the intelligence of the crow now, you know? So, the last but not least, we have the crow walking on the ground. Now, you're going to see crows walking on the ground everywhere, right? So they're around, we're sharing environments, so not everything's going to mean something, like I talked about in the beginning of the video. But a lot of times when you see the crow walking on the ground and you feel like it's actually signifying something and telling you something, the crow is actually telling you to be grounded in order to protect yourself. Stay grounded. Lots of animals can represent this, especially butterflies, especially white butterflies. If you see a white butterfly flying low to the ground continuously, and that is telling you that, hey, you need to be patient, because the white means patient and peace, and the white butterfly means patience, forbearance, and peace. In order to create more happiness and beauty in your life, you have to be patient. Flying low to the ground means you have to be grounded and patient. Don't make any quick actions. Same thing with the crow. It's saying that, hey, you really want to protect yourself today. You might want to keep a low profile, keep it grounded. Don't be in your head too much. Don't be in your emotions too much. Just stay grounded. Stand your ground with your energy, and be grounded inside of nature, and just continue to walk the path. Don't overthink. Don't do any of that. You know what I mean? So that is what the crow signifies when it's walking. Or it could just be walking and wondering, why are you looking at me? So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. It's getting dark here now, and it's getting a little late. I know there was a lot of information in this video. I know you guys have been waiting so much for this video and so long. And I'm sorry that it maybe sounded like I rushed through it while I was talking. But it's just, I'm kind of timing the lighting here. So remember to be patient with yourself. Remember to not go off of the deep end with the crow meanings. And keep in mind too that the crow may disappear. The last thing I'll say, a lot of animals and signs, once you actually see, or once you get what that sign was, once the message is received and you know what it is that it's telling you, or you feel like you have confirmation, the animal will go. Also, it will go if you pull out your phone and try to film it, if it's something that's very majestic and sacred and you're not getting the hint. And you're not open to receiving it because you're so busy filming it, it might also disappear then as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want any of my handmade jewelry, they are on my website, which the link is in the description box below. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you all inside of the next video, which is going to be about giving offerings to Mama Nature. Have a blessed day.